Hi, welcome to Toys in the Hood. Today we're going to be talking about the Shadows of the Galaxy pre-release for Star Wars Unlimited. We've basically just got back from it and we're super pumped to talk about it, kind of what cards we're looking forward to, what strategies worked for us, and how we both did. Cool. So that's an intro. So we're looking at... This is our first video where I've actually got a guest. So introducing Chris.
Hello, how you doing?
And Chris is, well, where did we first meet? We met playing roller derby, actually, nothing to do with war games, but we both previously worked with Games Workshop. We actually had the same job, basically, at Games Workshop.
Although
Chris...
we never met there.
No, we didn't. You basically got it after I had it, which
right,
I'm not bitter about at all. But he didn't have it while I had it. It wasn't like I lost it, so it's okay. We could speak to each other. And... after playing tabletop games together and things like that, Chris went to the Star Wars Unlimited pre-releases when it very first came out as a game.
I didn't go to the pre-releases.
Did you not?
No, I got into it halfway through.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it felt like, because I completely avoided the pre-releases.
I avoided the pre-release, I avoided the game like the plague, and then was at a convention where we had some spare time and had a demo game. And it was a really good game.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay. Well, I found out afterwards because Chris basically got me into it. I tried to resist for like a month and then failed miserably, and now I'm balls deep in Star Wars Unlimited. So I'm desperately trying to play catch up because the stock for this game is just incredibly hard to find. But it's quite nice now that we've got the second set coming out.
Yeah.
And that means you can actually, well, we've managed to pre-order products, haven't we, and get in on the pre-releases. So that's cool.
So we've got some product at least.
But I digress, sorry. So we've just been to Boards and Swords Hobbies, which is our local gaming kind of, what do you call them now? I mean, it's
gaming
like
store, friendly gaming store.
Yeah, local. It is. Yeah, it's a store. I always think because they're like big units now with tables and things. They feel like gaming venues, don't they? More than just stores. But it's only 5 minutes down the road. It's a really, really good place. And they did their pre-releases. They had them on the Friday night and the Saturday.
Yeah, and we went to both because we were both jonesing to get some cards.
And that's it. Yes, that's it. To really get some new cards. We've played them both, and we've just finished the second one. So it's like midday on this. Well, it's a bit in the early afternoon on the Saturday. And yeah, we thought we'd just kind of talk about our experiences with them, what we liked, what we enjoyed, what strategies worked. Maybe if we can remember what strategies we used, and we'll kind of go from there. So, I suppose we should quickly as well just talk about what makes the pre-release. So when you enter the pre-release, you get your cards. We're a week away from the release?
Yeah, so Friday next week they come out, so exactly 7 days beforehand for the first one. So
that's a chance for us to get hold of them. You end up with a box, and in this box you've got 6 booster packs, which are basically the same booster packs we'll be buying in a week.
Exactly the same, yeah.
You then get a little rules pack, actually, just in case you don't know the rules, which...
But that one tells you how to play the pre-release.
Oh, so this one does,
the pre-release rules.
Pre-release rules, and then there's a little mini rule book as well.
Which is updated as well, isn't it, with the new bits.
That's it, because there's a couple of new ideas. I mean, the first set of Star Wars Unlimited was kind of Spark of Rebellion, wasn't it? And it's kind of introducing you to the, I'd like to say basic rules, but there's more to it than that. But it's pretty straightforward. Now we've got Shadows of the Galaxy, we've got this capture mechanic, where if you play a card, you can effectively capture an opposing card, and they're out of play until the card that's guarding it is then destroyed and they're basically rescued.
Mm-hmm.
There's bounty hunters.
No, bounties.
Yeah, sorry, bounty hunters is like the theme. Bounties is the mechanic, and you put a bounty on someone, and when you kill that card or capture that card, you get the bounty. So I'm trying to think of a good example of one.
There's one here which is price on your head.
Oh yes, yeah, we can just show this one. So this is like an upgrade that you play on an opponent, and then when you kill that card, you get this reward. This one works a treat. You basically, when you kill it, you get an extra resource. Yeah. So it kind of helps up your game. And so you'll play bounties. You've got bounty hunters who, a lot of them interact with bounties.
Yeah, there's lots of keywords around bounties and bounty hunters. And then the other new rule... Gosh, what was the other new rule? It's free. Smuggle.
Smuggle,
of course,
yes.
Yeah, the biggest new rule change,
That's right. So smuggle. So one of the cool things about Star Wars Unlimited is, unlike like Magic the Gathering, where you have to play with land to get resources, you you basically can use any card as a resource. So early in the game, you'll use your higher costs and you'll resource those, and then you'll just be playing the cheaper cards. Later on, you can resource the cheaper cards and play the higher ones. That's your sort of real basic strategy. But what Smuggle does, What Smuggle does is it allows you to play a resource as if it was in your hand, and then it's replaced. So rather than having 3 or 4 cards in your hand, you've suddenly got the 3 or 4 cards in your hand, plus however many Smuggle cards you've got.
Yeah, and I think it is the biggest change to the game from this set, because I played most of the games over the last 2 days with 3 or 4 Smuggle cards in my resources at all times, because when you pull one on a draw, you're just like, well, that obviously goes down because I can play that later. I don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, that's it. But then some cards are like better if you smuggle them.
Yes,
But of course, the game knows this and charges you accordingly. So you'll get some cards. I can't remember. There's a pirate, like a smuggling group. That's
right. Yeah.
I'll find the card and flash it up in a moment. But it costs like 2 if you play it normally, and it's effectively a 2/2. But if you smuggle it, I think it costs 5. But then it gets 3 experience tokens, so it becomes a 5/5. It's a lot bigger. But obviously that's later in the game. And then there's leaders that all interact with them as well. So you've got a whole new set of leaders. You're watching this video, you probably know everything there. So thanks for sticking with us, because we're now going to
explaining stuff, sucking eggs and that, isn't it?
That's it. But I feel like we've got to explain it, because, what do we do? I mean, normally this is kind of more of a war game. Well, I mean, card games are tabletop games, so this fits with the theme of my table. But I've been courting a lot of Warhammer players recently, so I kind of want to make sure that people can follow what we're talking about. But yeah, so if we talk about what we did, shall we talk about kind of... Well, did we have any plan when we were going to the pre-releases?
Did we talk about how we build decks?
Sorry, no, completely missed that. Yep.
So yeah, it's cool. It's my first time for doing any pre-release for any card game. I've always avoided card games because the horrendous amount of money that you can sink into it if you're not careful. So you turn up, you get this box, and from the 6 boosters that you get, you have to build a deck out of those cards in a limited amount of time. So you kind of pull your cards, see what you've got, and figure out a deck from that, don't you?
Yeah, and it's quite hard to plan, isn't it? It's like one of the key things in your deck is your leader. Well, you've got to draw your leader. So, like, I was super pumped about the idea of playing Dr. Aphra in this set. You know, it's one of the kind of extended universe characters, and I just think she's great. She's not exactly great at the game, it appears. But, of course, I don't think we saw anyone draw it.
No, I think someone drew it next to me, but then instantly put it into their pile of I'm not playing that.
Right, yeah.
In fact, I might have drawn one today.
Oh, really?
And just put it into the side.
Oh, wow,
I'm not playing that.
Yeah, well, maybe we can have a chat later, because one of the cool things is now we've got cards to trade and stuff and do that. But of course I didn't draw that, so I couldn't play that. So it limits what you can do. So you've kind of got to, you go in with an idea, but then you've got to adapt it to what you've got. You basically get half an hour to open your packs, build a deck. Of course, you also want to sleeve the cards straight away.
Yeah, some of them have got some value, so...
Yeah, and we've got it's something like 1 in 4 packs as a legendary card, doesn't it? And the legendary cards are really good. I don't want to be scuffing those in my very first game, so you straight away sleeve them. So it's kind of... You're quite pushed for time, aren't you?
Yeah, I finished and just had time to get a cup of tea, so...
Yeah.
So only just...
Get the important things in.
Although on the Friday night, I very much got shouted at for having 5 minutes left, and I went, I better put a deck together then. And just figured out which set of cards I had 30 cards of, basically.
Yeah. That's it, you play with 30 cards, normally you play with 50 in a full game. So, but of course, normally in a full game, you prepare for however long you want and you know what cards you're getting. So yeah, you kind of throw your deck together and you get playing. You then play 3 matchups, and each matchup, because again you basically get 55 minutes to play, and it should take 20 minutes is the theory, because you're playing best of 3.
When you know the cards and it's constructed, it's 20 minutes is sensible, or less really, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, this time, especially when you're seeing cards the first time, I found that generally the first game would take like 25, half an hour.
Every time someone played something, you're like, can I just have a look at that?
That's it, yeah. It's like, what are you doing? Which can work to your advantage a bit.
Yeah, you're learning the cards as you go, aren't you? So.
Yeah, and it's quite exciting. But at the same time, because we've been so excited by Star Wars, I mean, we've been playing online on Karabast, which is this online... what would you call it? Simulator. So you can play any card there. So some of these cards we'd already played, which is a bit cheeky.
I had a few games with the new sets, but quite limited stuff because I've been constructing decks with them. So I've just been putting a few into the decks that I've been playing, really. So,
yeah.
So there was a lot of stuff that I saw which I didn't expect.
Yeah. And of course, you kind of, when you're playing online, you're like, right, I'll take, say, Kylo Ren, and I'll take 3 of his ship, and I'll take 3 lightsabers, and it'll be amazing. And then you're sat there looking at this, if you've practiced that, and suddenly you draw, and you're like, well, I haven't even got a Kylo Ren, he hasn't loaded his ships or anything. So, no plan kind of survives contact with the enemy in this case.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But so we opened our packs up, and we built a deck. So, the first day, well, do you want to go first? What did you decide?
Yeah, so I think I went into the Friday pre-release with the one thing I was not going to do is play bounties, because I didn't rate them that well on paper. So when I've been looking at it, I was like, I don't know if bounties are going to work well, because there's a lot of removal in this game. You can get rid of the bounties quite easy. But my card pool, I drew from my cards. I got a Krayt Dragon, which is a legendary a legendary aggression card.
Yeah.
A Wild Rancor, which is another rare aggression card. Finalizer, which is a legendary command card. And Jabba's Rancor, which is another big unit in command. So I was like, well, I need to play command aggression, because I've got 4 bombs that I can play. And the only aggression leader I had was Bosk, so I was like, well, I guess I'm playing Bosk. People are going to have bounties on their own cards, and I drew kind of 5 or 6 bounties, so I could put those in the deck and build it from there. So I ended up with a Bosk command deck. Right,
that's cool. Yeah, and I think I ended up with a similar one. Yeah, where again, and it's like, it was a weird one from having played a little bit beforehand. I knew Bosk can be quite good if people aren't really expecting him. Yeah, exactly. Because you throw bounties down, and he can deal a point of damage to something with a bounty. So if somebody is like, oh, I'm just going to play this 1 toughness character. Sorry, I keep using Magic terms for this as well. It's worth mentioning that Star Wars Unlimited is kind of like Magic 2.0, I think.
Kind of,
so, if you've got just the 1 wound on them and you can just ping them and kill them, then what will happen is they'll play a card, they'll be like, right, that's my first turn, I'm going to get you next turn. And you're like, well, actually, I'm playing a bounty, I'm killing you, I gain the advantage of the bounty, whether it's extra resource, more cards. It's like, right, we're going into the second turn, your guy's dead and I'm in a better position. And that was, that worked pretty well.
Yeah, I'd agree. That kind of playing a bounty on your first turn instead of a unit was not a negative turn at all. You ended it kind of a little bit ahead, basically. Yeah. Because they had nothing, you had nothing on board, and then you've got that little advantage. So yeah,
that's it. And Bosk as well, he came out quite quickly on the table. I think you need 5 resources to deploy him.
4, sorry, isn't it?
Yeah. So you can get him out quite sharpish, whereas someone like Cad Bane, I think, is 6.
Yeah.
Jabba is like 7. Yeah. So you're getting the jump on some of your opponents. So that was really sweet. And I think he's like a 4/6 when he comes out, so he's a bit of a beast. So
like 2 sorry, no, sorry, Bosk is 4/6. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So yes, we both played Bosk and we both played Command. Yeah, I'd had like quite a good mix of kind of aggression and command cards. So some of them, especially if you get a theme, that works really well. So with Bosk, you've got you've got your bounties as a bonus there. I also managed to draw a Jango Fett, and Jango Fett gets +3 to attack basically when he's attacking someone for bounty. So that really worked well for me. It kind of all combos nicely together. There's certain bounty hunters who are cheaper when you've got bounties out there. Now ideally, of course, I'd have built a whole deck that was really themed on this, but you're limited with cards. But quite often you only need 1 bounty on an opponent, and then all of your stuff kicks in.
Yeah. So, I didn't have a huge amount of bounty synergy in my deck. I obviously had the bounties, had Bosk that has the synergy with the bounties, and I think I had a couple of bounty hunters. So I had IG-88, but he didn't interact with anyone because he was a bounty hunter, and I had the aspectless bounty hunter initiate. I can't remember exactly what his name is, but when you played him, if you had another bounty hunter down, he could deal 2 damage to a unit with a bounty, which was real nice to ping off that last bit of health on a
it's really cheeky, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. When you need a bounty, because you've hit them with Bosk, you hit them with that, and you do it. And this cycle was also it's quite fast. A lot of these bounty hunters are cheaper. So as a strategy, you're getting your bounty hunters. I mean, I can't remember the name of it exactly, but I'll work out in a bit. But there's one bounty hunter who, if there's a bounty, on he costs 2 rather than 3.
Yes, so, that's I can't remember his name, but yeah.
Yeah, so if you've got him out, you can get him out in the first turn basically, and suddenly he's 3/4. He's a bit of a beast. You get him out. Bosk is also damaging him. It works quite nicely. And then one of the really cool things about Bosk that works really well, and I think really well because we had the advantage of kind of surprise, was the fact that when you've got enough resources, you then reveal your leader, and your leader becomes a unit in play. So when Bosk comes into play, he stops dealing damage to bounties, but when you get a bounty, he resolves it twice. And I'd find, so as we said, it's best of 3. I'd find quite often in my first games that I was playing, I'd hit something, kill it with Bosk in play, and whereas the bounty normally would give me 2 cards, I'd still be drawing 4.
Yeah.
That was really sweet. But then, of course, the second game my opponent would realise. So you kind of got the advantage of surprise, but when they picked up on it, it was a real problem.
And I think that's the benefit of playing Bosk at the pre-release, because people didn't really know what to expect. Because I had that big turn as well where I flipped Bosk. Someone had passed the rest of their turn. I hit Ritual Ward Bounty, which gives experience tokens to units.
Oh, yeah.
So I did that twice. Bosk got 2+2+2. Another unit got +2+2. Then I hit another bounty that hit damage to base, and then I hit another bounty that drew cards.
Right,
so I just claimed 6 bounties in one turn, basically, just because I had Bosk out.
That's it, and no one's going to keep up. And especially when they're passed, you're just doing all these things, and there's nothing they can do to stop them. There are cards, and I think this was one interesting thing I found about the pre-release was there's a Disabling Fang Fighter, which I think is a reprint from the first set.
It is, and it wasn't played that much in the first set either.
No.
People sideboarded it for use when they were playing against heavy upgrade decks, but that was about all.
Yeah, there aren't many. There weren't many heavy upgrade decks, were there? But now, of course, there's bounties, and I think that's one of the things with the pre-release is people have got no choice but to play these cards.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, so bounties are more prevalent. There's also certain some of your cards now they'll have a bounty built in. And they're a little bit cheaper as a result. You probably a lot of those I felt I wouldn't play in the main.
Some of them are very playable. Because the bounty, and when you're playing them, they like the Doctor. Oh, what's his name? The yellow. Everson, is it? Or
the one from A New Hope in the
Mos Eisley
canteen gets his arm cut off. Yeah, that's it. Yes,
but he comes out for 2. He's a free unit with a shield.
Yeah.
So he's survivable. And your opponent gets to refresh 12 resources when he gets killed. It's like, well, this early in the game, you haven't got 12 resources, and I can plan it so I can kill him when you can't take advantage of this anyway. So he's very playable.
That's it. There's a lot, isn't there? You're going to kill him, and you either not used any resources, and that kept happening to me in the pre-release. I thought that was really interesting. It's quite often I'd be like, oh, now I can ready. Oh, I've not used anything because I needed to kill you before I needed to actually play a card and use resources. So that was a huge part. And you're readying 12. I mean, did you ever get to 12 resources in a game?
I did. No, I didn't. I got to 11.
Okay,
so that's the most I got to.
Yeah. So you don't get to utilise it at all. So actually, you sit there and when you first look at this, you think, oh my gosh, this bounty is going to lose me the game. It's not that big a deal, actually.
No, it's a great card, that is, to be fair.
But I think some of this you do appreciate only when you're playing it.
Yeah.
And again, there's this concept. I mean, there's a really nice card. There's a green card. It costs 3 to play. It gives you +4/+4.
Oh yeah.
Moment of Glory.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Moment of Glory.
I drew that both events and have used it a lot in both events as well.
And again, I'm not convinced you'd entirely use that if you were playing constructed decks.
No, probably not. No.
But in this, it was really good, and you'd suddenly just bump up a 2/2, becomes 6/6, bang, straight into your opponent.
Yeah, and it's hard to kill it as well. So, it's survivable and such like so.
Yeah, that's it. No, that worked really, really nicely. So a lot of cards. I mean, the whole point of all of that is a lot of cards that you don't think much of in the normal game can be really, really good.
Yeah, I think I went in with a couple of cards which I didn't expect to be good.
Yeah.
Daring Raid's one I've laid out here.
Yeah.
Which is deal 2 damage to a unit or base for 1 cost, which I kind of came into the event knowing that was going to be a great card.
Yeah.
I drew 2 in my first pre-release. And they were amazing. I used them so much. Just either winning a game by just doing the last couple of damage, or just getting rid of a unit and being able to play think outs as well. It was so good. And the card I didn't expect to be really good was Pillage. which I think you used on the first night as well.
I had it. I don't think I used it much. This one you pay 4, I think, and you discard 2 cards.
And your opponent discards 2 cards.
Yeah, and of course if your opponent's playing a lot of cards, suddenly down to 2 cards, and you can see them building up to anything, well, they literally can't do anything.
Yeah, I used it to force someone to skip a turn, basically. So I think it was only turn 3.
Yeah.
The cards they discarded weren't amazing, but they could have played them both. It was 2 units.
Yeah.
They discarded them both and just went, I can't do anything then. It's like, well, I've got a turn advantage now. I've got a unit advantage, a turn advantage, and everything. So yeah, really good card.
Yeah, it didn't really help. That's it. So shutting yourself, and again, sometimes I feel like you'd be building a deck around this. But actually, it's just a cheeky little advantage that you can use, which was pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't have played with anything like that ordinarily.
No, I don't think I would have just put it into a constructed deck before playing it in a pre-released, a limited deck.
Yeah. So how did you? So do you want to talk us through your 3 opponents just quickly?
Yeah. So the first opponent I played was playing. Playing Cad Bane, who's really cool unit.
Yeah.
A really cool leader. Sorry, he does damage when you play cards in his tribe, which is Underworld.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a good fun game. I won both games relatively quickly. One of those was the one that had a big bounty turn, and after that turn it was over basically.
Yeah.
And then the other turn I just had really good early cards, and IG88 did a lot of work for me basically. IG11 did a lot of work for me.
Right, yeah, he's the one that when he's captured.
Yeah. So he's just survivable really and doing a lot of damage, and so I won that 2-0.
Yeah.
Second game I played.
Sorry, I'm going to quickly interrupt just to say, because I thought one of the things that was really interesting with Cad Bane is that every time you play an Underworld card, well, not every time, but once a turn you play an Underworld card, he does a point of damage to something.
Yeah.
But your opponent chooses. And it's like, so it's quite easy to play it, do it. But your opponent needs to have a unit in play, so there's a timing element you need to have. Bosk, I felt, although Bosk still needs a unit in play, and that unit needs to have a bounty on it, you knew what you were hitting with Bosk.
I did a lot of damage on people when on the Friday night. Bosk did a lot of work on just pinging units that got bounties, either inbuilt bounties on the card or ones that I put down. So that was a really good leader.
Yeah, those inbuilt bounties are really cheeky, I think, because because they're new to it, people didn't they play something and you're like, this is great value, and they haven't twigged that there's a bounty, and then you're going to kill them with Bosk, and it's like, there's no way that strategy's working in like 3 weeks' time, but for the pre-release, go for it.
And then the second game I played, I can't remember what opponent I played against, to be honest. I can't remember much about that game, other than Jabba's Rancor came out in fact, no, the Wild Rancor and Jabba's Rancor came out in both those games, respectively. And basically won the game for me at the end of the game.
So Wild Rancor does loads of damage to everything when you play.
So he damages every ground unit when he comes down.
Right.
I think it's 2 damage.
Right.
I was playing him out as that aspect, so he comes out down on the 8. But normally he's 6, but with a double aggression aspect. And then Jabba's Rancor comes down on 7 resources. Yeah. And it does 3 damage to one of your ground units and one of your opponent's ground units every time it attacks and when it comes into play.
Right, yeah.
And it's a big body. I can't remember exactly what
I think it comes out on 8, but it's 1 cheaper if you've got Jabba. Is that?
Yes,
that's
maybe.
Right,
yeah. But so basically 2 big cards that are hard to deal with, and you just finish the game with it basically.
That's cool. I did find one of the mechanics, the capture mechanic. Like quite often, if somebody plays something really, really big, well, you can capture it. And it's there's a lot.
It kind of puts stuff off for a bit, doesn't it? It lets you deal with stuff. And
they basically disappear out of play. It's a bit weird because they lose all their tokens. So if you've been damaging it, it loses all of those. If you've got your own bounties on it, they all just disappear. But on the other side, if your opponent's been powering them up and they've got experience tokens and things, they all vanish.
That all wipes as well.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's really nice to have that versatility.
Yeah, so that game I won 2-0 as well.
Right, yeah.
And then the final game I played against Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
Against a real good player who I had not beaten before, actually.
Yeah.
He keeps beating me every time I go up against him, so that was a bit daunting going into it.
Yeah, that was Ben, wasn't it?
Ben,
I played him in my second game.
And he won the first game, I think, and then I kind of brought it back and won the next 2. And the final game of the day, final game of that match, end of the day, I won it by bringing out the Krayt Dragon.
Right. Yeah.
Which I went into the pre-release thinking the only thing I really want out of this is to get a Krayt Dragon.
Yeah.
And I got 2 over the weekend, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
But it was the Krayt Dragon's a massive unit. It's a 10/10. coming out at the end of the game on 9 resources, but then every time an opponent plays a card, you can deal damage equal to the cost.
Yeah.
So whatever they're playing to deal with it, you can either take it out as it comes in or deal damage onto their base. And it's just a finisher basically.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, isn't it? I found it's like you can go and you can play something and you can capture it.
Yeah.
But then I'm playing 5 and taking 5 damage, and it's like, okay, I get it back, but all you have to do is kill my guy who's captured you, and you've got it back. And it's like, what do you do? Especially at this level.
I think at the end of the game as well, people aren't capturing much at the end of the game. I think because I found a lot of the middle game cards or early game cards were what's getting captured most.
Yeah.
But
the timing's weird, isn't it? With the whole game, it's like you've only got, as we said, you've got 3 games to get. You've got 55 minutes. Quite often, like the Krayt Dragon's like an end of game thing. When it comes out, you've possibly already lost.
I only played it once on the Friday night. So I only got there once.
It's quite a neat finish to the whole tournament.
Yeah. Got to play the card I was looking forward to, which was good. And then came first, so I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah, you can't complain about that, can you? And I mean, for the benefit of everyone else, you've been playing quite a few, haven't you, in the tournament?
I played in the last showdown there, and I played regularly. So yeah, I'm doing all right.
But you don't have much luck with prize support. I'll throw that out for the benefit of the viewers.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, how do you get on?
Throw it right back at me, yeah. So I played. Again, I had a Bosk one, and the first game, I can't remember the lad's name, but he's quite a young lad who plays, isn't he? And
I can't remember his name. Yeah,
but he's really, really good.
He's very sharp on what he's doing. Yeah,
and that was actually awesome fun, and I thought it was really interesting. I was talking about this with one of the guys earlier, so a bit off. Well, not off topic. It's not really about the card game, but the idea that, like, the prequels and stuff. I find there's a lot of people who sort of look down on them, and he loves it.
To be fair, I was at an age when the prequels came out, and I was 12-ish when they came out.
I've said prequels, I meant sequels.
Right, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, fair, I got you. But then I'm the same with the prequels. I quite like the prequels.
Yeah.
Other than Clone Wars, but
I quite like Attack of the Clones, but that's definitely a whole episode.
Yeah.
But no, he loved the sequels, and he loves Rey. It's like his favourite character, and he was playing Rey. And I mean, we played the first game. I had a great run because I got a couple of bounties off, like the double hits. He wasn't expecting it, and I won that. And then we played again, and it was quite fairly even, a lot of back and forth. He played Rey. He'd got the legendary Rey, so he was pretty chuffed, and he played that. And I think had he been able to really get her going, he'd have beaten me. But then this captive thing comes in, and I played. I can't remember if it was just a bounty hunter or something like that. And bang, she's mine. And it was just like, right, game over, And so that was a really good fun game. I think apart from that, I don't know, it's weird, remembering things. I think because you're trying so much and you're taking in so much, it's really hard to remember the specifics. But that's the first one. Then I played Ben, who you'd played. In the last game, and his Moff Gideon deck. And I think one of the things that struck me while I was playing this one, I won the first one, and I think he hadn't got the measure of Bosk and the bounties. So the advantage of surprise is kind of good. Which is why we're only doing this video after we've played. And that worked quite nicely. But then he obviously twigged what was going on, and he'd started he'd got 2 disabling Fang fighters, so he was just taking my bounties back. And quite often I'd be setting up. This is one problem with bounties, is you have to orchestrate them quite a bit.
Yeah, that's what I thought going into this, and having looked at the cards beforehand, bounties probably ain't going to be that big, because they are quite easy to get rid of.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's mixed. I'll probably be proven wrong on that soon.
That's it. We'll all change our minds and just play bounty hunters. That'll be it. But yeah, so he played Moff Gideon, and I was obviously there trying to pull off all these combos and stuff and get really excitable, and he just proceeded to twat my base.
Yeah, just chipping away basically.
Which is a classic kind of Steve mistake, is that I forget.
Get distracted by doing the cool thing.
Well, that's it. I'm like, oh my god, it's Star Wars, this is the best game ever. And then someone else is like, yeah, I'm going to hit you for 3, hit you for 3. But that's just a stupid Fang fighter. They're not even in the films, And then suddenly it's like, oh, I'm dead. Which I think is always worth remembering for any of these pre-releases, is if you're going to win, you've got to remember how you win.
Yeah. I think it's a good opportunity to play cards you wouldn't normally play.
Yeah.
But you still need to, if you want to play, to try and rank or be competitive.
Yeah.
Depending on what you want to get out of the game, really, is if you're trying to be competitive, you always need to have that in mind of trying to figure out how these cards are working together.
That's it. Yeah. And then so my third game, I played a lad who had Cad Bane.
Yeah. I think it's the same person I played first.
It would be, wouldn't it? Yeah. And And that was quite interesting. I thought you could play around him a bit much. Like I said, the underworld, the damage is kind of random where it goes.
Yeah,
well, not random. I choose, and so I'm going to put it where it works for me.
I noticed when I was playing them, they didn't have enough underworld cards to make it really work as a deck. So because you can't pick the cards you've got, you're kind of limited on what you can do.
Yeah, that's fair.
But in a constructed deck, I think it's going to be lethal having to be able to do those little pings.
Well, that was something, wasn't it, that really mattered. It was like there's Lady Proxima who you play, and whenever you play an underworld card, you deal a point to the base. She costs 1. She's 0/4. She just sits there, and I mean, and you
pain to get rid of her.
Yeah, and you sort of think, oh, she's 0/4. You can kill her fairly easily. Like somebody can kill her, and it doesn't even matter. 4's pretty tough. And
four's a lot of damage to have to do.
Yeah, and I could do that damage to the base.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't... So I feel like I don't want to be killing her. But then suddenly she's there and it's like, they play 1 Underworld card. They're doing whatever the Underworld card does, which, like, there's that Marklunky card, this event that pulls back one of your cards into your hand, deals 3 points of damage to a unit. Well, then Lady Proxima kicks in and you do a point of damage there. Cad Bane does a point of damage as well.
Yeah. I can't remember if her ability is limited to once per turn.
No, it's just,
you can
keep
doing
ages.
It.
Yeah, she's so good. But then this being the pre-release, it's what you draw, and I drew 1, so it was brilliant when I got her out, but it wasn't
inconsistent.
It wasn't a reliable strategy. But sorry, so I played Cad Bane, and I actually won that one 2-0. And I was quite chuffed because I normally struggle against this opponent. Like he normally plays a layer deck and just whips the floor with me. This one, I was. Yeah,
sorry, it wasn't the same opponent, was it?
Oh,
it was a different one, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay, but still Cad Bane. Yeah, I'd have probably played Cad Bane had I drawn a Cad Bane.
Yeah.
He's quite an exciting kind of character to play, but actually, Bosk worked out really well, and
it's fun to play Bosk as well. I don't think I'll play him much more. Or at least not in constructed, I don't think. But in sealed, it was real good fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely more excited for other characters, for sure. But no, he felt like one of the strongest ones to play.
Yeah.
My star card, and I've just remembered it because we put it on the table here, was this, and this shows like how something really. It's this Hunting Nexu. And what it is a common card. It costs 4. It's not a cheap card. But it's a 4/4. But if you've got another red unit, it gets +2. It's got raid 2, so it gets +2 when attacking. So it's a 6/4.
6/4 is suddenly a
it's
hell
a
of a
real
card.
problem.
I put it here because I used it today a lot, and I was surprised by it, to be honest.
Well, I thought it was really good with Boss because it's triggered when you've got a red card in play. Keeping other red cards in play is quite tricky, and certainly a lot of the good red cards feel like they're events. So having one and guaranteed to keep it there is a bit of a problem. But actually, Boss comes out, you've got a red card, the Nexu powers up as well, and then you just slam into your opponent, and 6 points they've got to deal with. That was a real star, and that probably won me most of my games. Actually, card, and you didn't even feel it at the time because you're like, okay, I've done like 12 points of damage, and then it's probably got killed. But actually, when you look back, you're like, well, that's what then allowed me to play whatever trick I did to win. So I was chuffed as well. I came 5th, which, again, I was really, really pleased. One of my favourite things about it was the fact that because these decks you're building on the spot, like, the money side isn't coming into it. There's this idea.
You're going to an event rather than buying something, aren't you? Which is nice.
That's it, and you get to keep the cards. So it was like 30 quid to play. We got 30 quid of cards. We had a really great time, and the guys at Bash are brilliant. The venue's great.
Yeah, the community for Star Wars. I've been to a few stores and they've all been really welcoming so far. So it's good. It's nice because that was a initial worry when I first went to a store. Was are people going to be welcoming or not? And actually, it's been real nice.
I think it's just a bit of an aside. That's hugely important. Like whatever game you're playing, isn't it? Is to enjoy it, the guys you're playing with, and tournaments are especially important because if somebody I suppose you find like quite often these things are Swiss, aren't they? So you find after your first game, like the showdown, I think was a good example. If you've won your game, you're going to play someone who's winning, and after a couple, you're playing someone who's constantly winning. They're going to be there, presumably, to win. Whereas when you're playing someone who's lost a few games, it's a lot more chilled.
It balances out a bit. And even so, I humble brag, I made the cut in the store showdown for ours. So I played in the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and I played against a guy who is very good at cards, and he absolutely owned me. But it was real nice when he did it. It was a really enjoyable game. So although I got beat real bad in the semis, it was still a good fun game because the guy was a nice guy. So.
So it makes a huge difference, I think. So thank God Star Wars fans are lovely. In the main, I mean,
you've seen the internet, right?
Well, I think the thing about there is all of the hate for Star Wars is fortunately for us directed at Star Wars. So I don't want to be, if Disney turned up in the room, it might be a whole different attitude as everyone piles on. But yeah, I mean, I say that. I bloody love everything Star Wars.
Yeah, same, to be honest.
But
I'm just into it. So.
Yeah, I'm just massively excitable and enthusiastic about anything. So yeah. So yeah, we did really well on the Friday night, and I suppose it was like got home at like 10:30.
Yeah.
And then
started putting cards in binders.
And then 12 hours later, we were back for day 2. So day 2 was today.
Yeah.
We got there super early, didn't we? Actually, we were quite excited.
Yeah. We were told to get there at quarter past. And we got there on the hour, so we ended up just hanging about and chatting.
But that was quite cool. And I think one thing that amazed me was the amount of people who had basically bought tickets for the Friday and the Saturday.
Yeah, it was mostly the same people. Well, it wasn't mostly the same people. It was about 50% the same people, I guess.
Maybe more, I think.
Well,
maybe you're not counting us.
True. And I know all the stores' stock was limited, so I was kind of rocking up on the Friday night thinking 30 odd people were going to be there, and I think it was 20-ish.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And then it was like 18. Was it 12 today or 10? Yeah, something like that. It was less today than it was yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it was a good. Everyone was pumped to kind of play again, and it was the same. Of course, we got our boxes, we opened them up.
Yeah.
I did forget to say, you also get like a promo version of Moff Gideon and the Mandalorian in the pre-release set as well.
Yeah.
And it's like foil on one side.
Real nice cards.
They're really lovely, aren't they? And it's also important because you always know when you're going to these pre-releases that you're going to be playing those leaders. You've got the option. In a normal kind of draft game, you wouldn't be guaranteed them. Mm-hmm. In fact, you'd never see them because they're only in the starter set.
I think they're in the main set as showcase cards.
Oh, okay.
So they're the
so
very
like
limited cards.
1 in 4 boxes or something might have
like that,
one. Yeah. So you're guaranteed to have them. So if you've got like an idea for a strategy, you can play that. And I mean, Moff Gideon gives basically all your smaller troops like overwhelm and things when attacking units.
Yeah, which is limited. I thought that was challenging to use.
Yeah, but I think as well because you can just give +1 to something and then attack. It's a really straightforward ability, which sometimes, like we're saying, when you're focused on the objective, just beating the shit out of the base, it's pretty solid.
And I guess what it is doing little bits of damage on the base every time and taking units out, but. Yeah, I don't know.
And then the Mandalorian, if you play upgrades, you get to exhaust something, which I kind of feel I probably, like today, and I didn't play the Mandalorian, I might have had a slightly better chance if I had. I think I did have a lot of upgrades, had a lot of Mandalorian cards. It would have, possibly done better than I did. But I went.
Foreshadowing there.
Yeah, a bit of foreshadowing there. That's it. So I played Cad Bane this time. I drew Cad Bane. Like I said, the day before, I was quite excited about the idea of playing Cad Bane. I knew there were quite a few Underworld cards in there. A lot of the cards that work for him, and again, you can take that Bounty Hunter vibe. You've got those Underworld. So the idea being, you're playing Underworld cards, you're dealing damage, and all that. The timing was something I found really quite a struggle with him. I kind of want to take the initiative and go first.
I think you're playing on the back foot with Cad Bane. So you need to want to be going second, really.
That's it, because I play something, then you play something, and then I pass or take the initiative, which means I've not got anything to play to get that early damage.
Yeah.
Whereas if I pause, you play something, then I play an Underworld card, you take a point of damage.
Yeah, and if that unit happens to be a 1 health unit as well, it's dead.
That's it.
That's pretty big.
But that's it, yeah, really sweet. If you've just forgotten that what's happened.
Yeah.
Like I said, Cad Bane, you choose who you're damaging, so it's not quite as amazing.
Yeah, you can play around it, but it still can catch you out.
Yeah, especially if you've only put the one thing down. So that was my plan, and then I immediately ran into another Cad Bane player who was just better than me, and by better, I'm pretty convinced that because he got 2 Lady Proximas in his deck,
that's
and I only
the
had
question,
1.
isn't it? That's like on the first night. I'm like, did I play well and make a good deck, or did I just draw really nice cards?
That's it. Yeah. But some of that, I definitely felt like the day before when these 2 disabling Fang Fighters were destroying the bounty hunters that I was the bounties that I was all set to win on. And I was like, am I better? Is he better? I mean, he won. He played them, I guess. He had the good sense to draw them. It's frustrating. And I think we played 2, and my opponent just crushed me in the first games. It was, it was lovely, and I deserved it. And I mean, one of the things is, you're trying to get a nice spread of costs. So you're kind of looking at. I did put these out. It was like, my 1 cost, my 2 cost, my 3. But I got quite a few quite good heavy cost ones.
Yeah,
so,
I succumbed to this on the second day also.
So I had Jabba's Rancor, which is 8. I had the this Republic Cruiser, which again is 8. and then I had Darth Maul, who's 7. And then there's these a card that I really rate. I don't know if you played it. This Smuggler's Battle Tank.
Oh yeah, in both days I played that.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's got Sentinel. It's like a 4/6.
It's a common card as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and so I had a couple of them. But it's bound to, it's smuggle. So quite early on, you put it as a resource.
I just put it in my resources every game.
Yeah, and then so often, and I think this is one really cool thing about Sentinels, having them to hand, is when you get the shit beaten out of you.
The absolute opportune moment and you just go, there you
get a Sentinel, that's it. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm dead. Unless you can kill this one first and you play it.
Yeah, I played against so many people who did the same thing. Like, they'd play it and then I'd play it.
Yeah.
Or I'd play it and then they'd play it in reaction to it. Because like, this is just the perfect time for it.
And I think that made me really appreciate Smuggle. And that's one thing today I definitely picked up on more, was enjoying the Smuggle mechanic.
Smuggle's really good.
Yeah,
really good.
It's good fun, and because you've just got more options. And some come out like really cheeky little costs. There was a little ship that I think is 2 if you play it normally, but it's 3 if you smuggle it. A green one, and that's great. Especially because like sometimes with ships, I think that you can play in the space arena. Am I interested in playing the space arena? I don't know if I've got all my cool ground units, but if I'm playing you and you suddenly drop a ship in, it's nice to have the option to then throw something at it, just to make you think a bit about what you're doing. So that was a really cool card. There's an event, and these are all command cards as well. I think command does really well.
Command's got a lot of smuggle. Yeah.
And there's an event that you pay it for 1 out of your hand, and it gives something ambush.
Yeah.
But if you play it for 2 smuggle, it gives something ambush when you play it.
It's real good.
And that was really, really nice. So I rated that card a lot, and it definitely won me a couple of games.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't draw any of those, but it was one of the cards I had noted.
Yeah, but you were getting all your legendary Krayt dragons and stuff. I think you do okay. My legends. I mean, I got evacuation, which was kind of cool, but I wouldn't dare play it. And then I've got 2 copies of that. I can't remember what it's called, the Last Chance one, where it's a I can't remember what it's called. So you play it and you either win the game or you lose the game. Yeah, you get to ready all your actually it's really interesting having 2 of them though, because you can play it twice.
Yeah.
And okay, I'm going to lose the game twice, so you can't double lose. So but I got that, and it was like, well, that's 6, and I'd have to ready everything, and I'd have to play double yellow for it to work. So that was really frustrating. So on the one hand, I think that's possibly a great card for a deck. Maybe
it's got a place for sure, hasn't it?
A Sabine deck or something like that, it could be really cool, where you've got all your things out and then you just go again. And then
I think even the Boba Cunning deck that's going around would probably benefit from it, because I think that deck, from my point of view, struggles with teeth at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Whereas if you could attack with all those mid-sized units twice, then that's suddenly teeth.
Especially when you've got abilities like Boba Fett's ability to strike first if something's exhausted.
Yeah.
So that was cool. That was something else actually I didn't talk about. Was like some of these cards I were drawing. Like I drew Fennec Shand, a couple of those on the Friday, and like I'm really looking forward to playing her in an actual game. This is the unit, so this is the one that it's got ambush, and then it does damage equal to the different costs in your discard pile. So I was quite excited by the idea of playing it, and then when I looked at actually playing it, I was like, oh, this isn't going to work.
Quite high cost, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's like, it's a very late game thing, and I think one of the things with pre-releases is you need to be quicker.
I found day 1 the games went longer.
Yeah.
Today I didn't get to the late game very often.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe we're all more awake.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like Friday after a day of work, it's a bit tougher, I think.
Yeah.
So the second game I played Ian, who's the one of the owners of Swords and Swords.
Yeah.
And he's got really into Star Wars.
Yes,
He is worryingly quite good.
So probably worth noting, he's a real nice guy as well.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's lovely.
Really welcoming.
So we had a game, and did I win 2-0 or 2-1? I think it was 2-1 in the end. Have you got the app?
No.
I can't remember how I so I thought this was going to be a really tough game. Oh God, that sounds patronising already, doesn't it? And it was a really tough game. What I kind of meant by that is I thought I was going to lose, because he's been to some showdowns, hasn't he? Just really well. Plays a Chirrut deck. And this time he had a Cad Bane deck, I had a Cad Bane deck, which... there were a lot of Cad Banes. Today there was a lot of them. Yesterday there was a couple, but today there felt like a lot. Really felt like a lot of people were going for it. And our games there were really quite close, and can't remember the first one, but the second one, I won that by playing the wonder that is Darth Maul.
I drew a Darth Maul today as well, and my takeaway from the last 2 days is I need 3 Darth Mauls because they're really good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Like, comes down with ambush. He's got Underworld as well, so with Cad Bane he's dealing damage as well when he comes out. Like, it was really sweet. He hits it, and you can deal. It's so cheeky. You can put all the damage on one character.
Yeah.
So you can.
Yeah. So when he takes combat damage, you can just switch it to someone else when he's attacking.
That's it, and that character can be rubbish.
Yeah.
So I attacked this little 2-1, got 1 point of damage left. Darth Maul goes wailing into like Cad Bane, takes 4 points of damage or whatever it was, and just deals it straight to his mate, who takes all of it, is very, very dead. Darth Maul's fine and ready for the next turn.
Yeah.
It was brutal. And yeah, so that just ended the games for us. But no, they were really, really good fun. Those ones were. And I'll talk about the final game in a second.
So today my plan was to play something different to what I played yesterday, basically. So boss command aggression yesterday. I opened all my cards. I drew another Krayt dragon, so straight away I was like, well, maybe I need to be doing aggression again. And then I drew a Maul, and I was like, oh, that's command and aggression again. I don't really want to do that. And I drew a leader Rey, and I was really excited about playing Rey. I think she's got a lot of potential. But then my blue pool of cards for heroism wasn't very good. So I was like, well, I guess I'm playing command aggression again, and went with Jabba as the leader.
Oh yes,
because I needed villainy, because I had some decent villainy cards. Well, obviously Maul is villain, and I think he was the only villainous leader that I drew today. So I was like, well, I guess I'm doing Jabba, which I wasn't super excited about in limited, because I feel he's quite a slow character. What actually happened is I made a really bad deck.
Right.
And I played my first game, and I think this set has got a lot of really good 5-cost cards in it.
Yeah.
A lot of them, and I drew quite a lot of those really good 5-cost cards, and I put them all in my deck. So I'd be playing turn 1, I'd go, I've got a lot of 5-cost cards, I can't play them. And then I'd play turn 2, and I'd have 3 resource down. I've still got a lot of 5-cost cards that I can't play. And basically my opponent just took advantage and beat me to death while I had nothing on the board and no answers. So yeah, they won that first game 2-0 quickly. I then jigged my deck a little bit, and we played the third game just for fun. And then I won that one. I was like, oh, this is frustrating. And then I properly tweaked my deck between that game and the next game, and had a much easier time with it.
Because you can make any changes you like to your deck.
Yeah, so you can't change your deck during the match.
Yeah.
Obviously the match was already done when I did the first changes. But then you can literally anything you want to your deck, even changing the leaders. You
can change the leaders.
So you can play lots of different cards basically. So yeah, the second game I played against a Mandalorian Gar Saxon tribe deck. So Gar Saxon Gar Saxon makes all your upgraded units better. And this the person I was playing had the Mandalorians that were giving out experience tokens.
Oh, okay,
So turn 1 he'd play quite a meek Mandalorian. You'd be like, oh, it's 1-3, I don't care about that. So you'd let it live. And then the next turn they play a Mandalorian that gives it an experience token, and Gar Saxon gives it an experience token, and it gets an experience token for having an upgrade. And you're like, that's now a 5-6.
It's weird getting your head around that, isn't it? Like,
and that's the second turn, it's a 5-6.
Oh gosh. Because these experience, like, in your mind, they're just tokens. But they are the same as an upgrade.
Yeah, they're an upgrade
that's
card,
what they're doing.
So the first game I played there, he really beat me, really quickly. I was like, I've got no answers, I can't do anything. And then the second 2 games I won, so I won the match, and I just kind of slowed down a bit and started taking out units as they came out, and I had a couple of Fang fighters so I could take out upgrades and just work to my advantage on that one. So yeah, I finished same result as you. We're both 1-1, lost 1. And then we ended up playing against each other.
We did, which was a bit of a shock.
And it's the first time we've played against each other in any organised play.
Yeah, that's it, which is quite lucky, really, isn't it? And to be fair, we don't travel very far, but I remember like some of the Warhammer tournaments and things, when you travel miles and suddenly you're playing your mate, like, for God's sake. And I was kind of worrying, like, because it took a while, didn't it? Our
first game was quick. So you won the first game quite handily, quite quickly, I think.
The first game went really well for me, which was brilliant. I was quite chuffed with that. I think it was my ambushers, wasn't it, that really did it?
I can't remember what the
the lady from Solo, the character from Solo,
next, isn't it?
Yeah, this really neat, like, you're ambushed, but when you're attacking, your opponent's getting -3 to their damage.
Yeah.
So you kind of, like, a lot of characters, that means she's not going to die. I mean, she's only got 4 toughness, so she's gonna she can't take much of a beating, but that really means she survives. And then everyone else with ambush gets a bonus as well with that, which was great, because that Republic cruiser I was talking about that does like 7 damage.
That has ambush anyway, doesn't it?
That has ambush, yeah.
Oh, and he gets a bonus, doesn't he? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
That was an interesting card, actually. I thought, like, playing that.
I'd spotted that in the previews. I was like, oh, that's got some potential.
Yeah, but that was one that when you actually play with it, though, it's not like, in your mind you're like, this is amazing. But of course you play it. It's got ambush. If it defeats a unit, then it comes into play as a resource. You gain that unit as a resource. Oh, that's brilliant. That's really going to swing it. Well, it's 8 to play. So you're at a stage in the game where already that's quite
It's a bit win more, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's already quite... Yeah, you're already in a good position when you get it. And of course your opponent has to have something in space for you to attack. And so it works once, if you're lucky. And then it's sat. So you kind of think, I'm going to gain a resource every turn. And you're like, oh, I'm not actually.
No.
Although, that said, there's that really cool, and I did win a game because of this, was there's this 4-3 spaceship, or 3-4 or something, which costs 2. And you pay 4 resources, and you get it. Anyone can buy it off you, kind of thing. And I was playing quite a few of those, and it was quite nice, because people didn't pay to have mine. But I did play one lad who had it, and I paid for it before he'd used it. Comes to me, it's ready, bang, twat him with your own ship.
I know you played it against me, and I was about to steal it off you, and you attacked with it, so I was like, oh, I don't want it now.
That's it, yeah. Well, that timing of it's really important, which I think is an amazing thing about this game, is like, you need to play a lot to get the timing right. And there were definitely games in the pre-releases where I was like, I wish I'd been better, and I played this more.
I definitely made some mistakes. I realised afterwards. I was like, oh, I can do that better next time. So it's good.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, there was one where I got too excited and I forgot to play a resource. But I might not be a great player. I played the big ship. So ambushing was like a really kind of cool theme with that character helping there, especially because Darth Maul also then benefits from it, and he's taking less damage. So yeah, our first game was quite quick.
The second game went really long.
Yeah, but it was really exciting, wasn't it? I thought.
It was back and forth all the way through.
Yeah, all 3 of our games I thought were really cool, because we sort of got to play with all of the cards, didn't we? It's like I was pulling out, like we said, that tank that's a sentinel and lives as a smuggler, that came out. We were capturing each other.
I played that in response to yours as well. I think towards the end of that game, I had 5 ground units and a space unit out. And a couple of your units captured. And you played the...
I played the evacuate card, which is for 6. It returns all units to their owner's hand. And it was like, I mean, I've had it a few times, and I think, in a way, I was like, oh, drawing this was a mistake. But it was so exciting when it actually worked. And I play it, and all of our cards come back. Now, you got more cards out.
Yeah, I had Jabba the Hutt on the table, so he stayed.
Yeah.
And I had one of your units captured.
That's it.
So that stayed.
So that came back to me.
Yeah.
And then the only other one I had was this ship that's like 4/5, and it's got bounty.
Yeah.
And the bounty is like you put a resource into play, I think. Like,
that's right,
it's really good if you can kill it.
And it was nearly dead as well.
Nearly dead. But then I take it back, I can play it again, it's fully healed. And that just felt like a win-win, whereas for you, you'd got upgrades, I think, on yours.
I had a lot of captured stuff, and I think ultimately if I'd had all that stuff on the table for the next turn, I would have won there and then.
So we ended up. That must have been was that the first game then?
That was the second game.
That was the second game.
And it went all the way, and then one of the cards you returned was Maul. Yeah, so I got to play Maul out into the small unit that you had on the table.
That's right.
Did some damage to base and then finished off the next turn.
It was nothing like... I think you took initiative. That was it.
Yeah.
And that...
Because you were on 23 health.
Yeah. And Maul does 7 damage.
I still had loads of resources, like, you know what? Initiative this, think about it and actually win.
Like we say, it's objectives, isn't it? It's like if you can just do that, and then of course, unless I could play a smuggle, a sentinel, but I was all out of resources. So so you got that. So that made it really exciting, wasn't it?
That was 1-1.
1-1. Going into the final game, we'd taken our time. We must have been like 15 minutes left for the final game.
If that, we had to rush a little bit in
the
last game.
I think it was quite nice because, I say that, I was getting a bit confuddled and stuff. I was like, you were one of this pesky little cloud car, and it's got restore too.
Yeah, I've got it here as one of my hero cards of the day.
Well, I was well, it restores, but you were like, you do 2 damage and restore it, but then you were saying, and my brain wasn't processing it, and I was restoring, like healing my own base.
Yes, that's right.
And you're like, no, you need to take the damage. So I put the damage back on it. You're like, no, you've not taken the damage. And it's like, what's going on? So that was awful. Like,
luckily, we know each other quite well, so I could just shout at you to take damage.
Yeah.
And I think the shop owner was getting a bit antsy because I was shouting at you, and he was like, don't shout at people. Like, no, it's fine. we know each other.
Yeah, it was a bit awkward. I think, to be honest, it would have been one of those. I was wondering if we had one to time. I think I'd have gracefully conceded for the sake of it, because I think you'd got the edge in that one.
So yeah, this second game, we're talking about the third game we played.
Third game, yeah.
Yeah, so that one again, we went relatively long, but I just happened. Well, I'd say it just happened. I'd used Jabba's ability to get the Krayt dragon out a turn early.
Yeah.
Which the Krayt dragon's just an end of game basically, and it's nice that I finished both days playing the Krayt dragon as the last game and the last kind of thing that happens.
Well, I think that as well. I mean, I don't think we were on. Maybe we were on like 10 and 15 health or something like that. When the Krayt dragon turned up, like it was. I don't know. I felt I might have been like slightly ahead.
You were until I played.
Until you played the Krayt dragon, then it was just game over, because you can't. If I played anything, you were getting the damage.
Yeah.
And of course, then we just passed. I think I did. I still did, because I hit you with my big spaceship for like 7.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. So I think you were ahead on the damage, but then that swing is just
turn into
huge.
10, and it's like I can't touch it, and that was it. I mean, it's the Krayt dragon's like a proper just game ender.
Yeah.
Really, if you were. Well, it was helpful that you drew it, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I'm happy I got it, because that was the card that I wanted to get from the sets.
Well, you got 2.
Yeah, I'm super pleased.
Yeah, it's amazing how much, like, I don't know, like luck matters, doesn't it? But obviously, it's how you pilot it and stuff. So I
think the interesting thing about today as well, or the interesting thing about the thing in total is, yesterday I played bounties and a lot of stuff with bounties. Yeah. Today I played a lot of smuggle and a lot of capturing.
Yeah.
So I've played all the mechanics. Today I played capture a lot, and we both played capture a lot today, didn't we?
Yeah, and it was really cool. Yeah, the back and forth, because the great thing about capturing is a lot of the time you can capture anything. Mm-hmm. You've just got to have that unit in play to do it. So a ground unit will capture a ground unit. I think there was one where you were like, "Oh, I'm capturing your space unit." I was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, you can't."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which this was it's the discerning veteran, which is a 5-cost 3/4 bounty hunter. And when played, the unit captures another ground unit. And
it's great.
Yeah, it's really nasty actually. It's the stats aren't all that. But
it's survivable though, isn't it? It's going to take a little bit of thought to get rid of it. So.
Yeah, and then of course the great thing is you capture something, and your opponent's got to worry about it.
And even when, like, a few times I capture something and the unit will get killed straight away, so the capture card get released. Yeah. But even when it goes back, it's exhausted. Yeah. So you've dealt with it for a turn at least. So it's a temporary kind of fix, but it is, even if it gets resolved straight away, you've still had an effect on the board, which is good. Yeah.
It's quite exciting as well to have a mechanic that's not dealing damage or anything, because like quite often you're dealing damage, you need to be dealing it to the base.
Yeah.
That's how you win. That's what you need to do. So when you're playing something and taking it, you don't feel like, oh, I should have done 6 damage to the base. You kind of feel like, no, actually, I've done the right move, and shut it down. And I mean, because they lose all of their upgrades, it's like it's really handy if
get rid of shields,
or the power of experience or something like that, and suddenly you're like, no, actually, I'm just having that back.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. So today, so you beat me in the last game.
I did. So I came third for the day,
and I came 6th. Which pretty. I mean, we said there were 14 players today or something. I think
it might have been 12 or 10, but it was definitely more yesterday. But
let's say it's 12, so I came in the top half. I think that sounds more likely, but or at least better. But I mean, it was super good fun. And I definitely we'll be talking about now doing like sealed.
So I think we're planning to do the sealed game, and I'm super pumped for the new set.
Yeah,
I think I was telling you after we finished, I was getting a bit saturated. Is probably the right word with the first set. So the second set just reinvigorated all that excitement for the cards, and it's all fresh again. So
it's quite nice, isn't it? Because like you could see the metas kind of in the first set, and now you're like, well, how are these going to matter? What's going to change?
I'm really excited to see how people deal with Krayt Dragon.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be interesting. I've got some ideas on how I could try it. I know you've been talking about some stuff as with Cunning. So
that's it. Yeah, I mean, I really want to play a Dr. Aphra deck. But I get the feeling that's not going to be any good. But I still want to play it, and when it has its time, I'll be like, oh yeah, I told you this. I was there first.
Called it was going to be rubbish.
But I'm kind of generally excited for all of this set. I think. And especially, I mean, this has just given me that appreciation of cards that I wouldn't normally think about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really good fun.
Yeah, so no, it was absolutely awesome. And I think the big takeaway for me is that I just want loads of Mauls.
Yeah, Darth Maul is so good.
Yeah, it's
I think
phenomenal.
The flip side of that is I didn't see anyone playing Poe.
Oh, yeah.
So Poe Dameron, I don't know if that's... I'm sure someone drew it today.
Right.
But I think only one person drew it.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually see it played. But that's the other card of this set that looks really good.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of mechanics, aren't there, that we're going to see now that's like constructed. So like, if we'd have drawn, I don't think anyone drew a Kylo Ren as a hero. But
no, I
as
didn't
a
see
leader,
any,
sorry,
yeah.
leader.
Leader I saw,
yeah,
but not the
But
unit.
you wouldn't play with him in this. I can't see, because you'd have to build a whole deck. But I think we're going to see a deck that works there. Like we say, a Cad Bane deck that's properly designed for it would be amazing. I think a Bosk Bounty deck would be like when you're really properly designing them. And we didn't. I don't know if anyone played. I think someone played Hondo today.
Yeah, I lost against Hondo today. In fact, the person who won played Hondo.
Oh wow!
And I did think that it was going to be a good deck because there's a lot of smuggling.
Yeah, well, smuggle's really gone up in my estimations
same.
a mechanic.
I knew that was going to be the big mechanic, but
yeah.
I was surprised at how big a change it is. Yeah,
it's quite amazing. But yeah, no, it's awesome, isn't it? I mean, I'm so kind of pumped for this game just in general. We pick up our cards next Friday, so that's really exciting. And I said this video has just been a kind of like, oh my gosh, we've just played. We just wanted to kind of
excited.
Yeah, we're just excited, wanted to share it. So I guess there's probably not been much strategic kind of input here.
Absolutely not.
If you wanted to listen to someone just get really excited about cards, congratulations, you made it for about an hour. So thank you very much. Yeah, next time we'll work on some like proper strategies. But if you don't play Star Wars Unlimited, you really should.
Should give it a go. Yeah, I think it's a great card game. It's surprising how good it is.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, they clearly had the time to be able to produce it and make a great card. Like, look at mechanics that don't work in other games and work on those.
Been an amount of negativity about it as well with how many failed card games Fantasy Flight's had. Yeah. But actually, when you look at it, maybe failing a few times before you get it right, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I think this time they've saved, haven't they? Like, well, we're doing Star Wars, we're doing a collectible card game.
Yeah, it's so good, this game is.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, cannot wait to play more games and things for it. And we'll probably try more videos like this that may be a bit more concise in the future.
No promises.
So I've been Steve, this has been Chris.
See you later.
Toys in the Hood, like, subscribe, tell your friends, etc, etc, etc. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you playing cards soon. Cheers.